Welcome back to our channel, soap fans. Today is a beautiful, bright day, but the drama unfolding in Los Angeles is darker and more dangerous than ever. Let us dive straight into the explosive updates. Sirens shatter the quiet Los Angeles afternoon as a life hangs precariously by a frayed, terrifying thread. The glittering, cutthroat world of high fashion is instantly reduced to meaningless vanity the moment Liam Spencer discovers his wife, Hope Logan, collapsed and lifeless on the cold, unforgiving floor of the Logan showroom. Panic erupts in a visceral, blood-chilling wave. Liam's frantic screams echo through the empty halls as he falls to his knees, desperately shaking Hope's unresponsive body. The rapid arrival of the paramedics transforms the glamorous fashion house into a chaotic emergency zone. Oxygen masks are strapped, stretchers are deployed, and the deafening wail of the ambulance rushing through the city streets sets the stage for a catastrophic medical nightmare. Liam rides in the back, gripping Hope's icy hand, his entire universe fracturing into a million jagged pieces as he watches the love of his life slip further away into the darkness. The brutal reality of the emergency room hits with the force of a runaway freight train. Harsh fluorescent lights illuminate a scene of absolute, unmitigated terror as a swarm of doctors and nurses rip Hope away from Liam's grasp, rushing her through the swinging double doors of the intensive care unit. Liam is left standing in the sterile hallway, his clothes rumpled, his breathing ragged, entirely powerless to stop the impending tragedy. Every agonizing second feels like a lifetime. The beeping monitors, the frantic shouted orders of the medical staff, and the smell of antiseptic create a suffocating atmosphere of dread. Liam paces the floor like a caged animal, his mind racing with terrifying possibilities, praying to any higher power that his wife will open her eyes. The sheer, overwhelming panic of potentially losing Hope completely paralyzes him, turning the confident Spencer heir into a broken, desperate man begging for a miracle. When the lead physician finally emerges from the trauma bay, the catastrophic diagnosis lands like a physical blow to the chest. Hope is suffering from acute kidney failure, a devastating and sudden shutdown of her vital organs. The doctor delivers the grim, horrifying details. This catastrophic collapse was triggered by unimaginable, prolonged psychological stress combined with severe, previously undetected underlying health complications. The relentless pressure of the fashion industry, the vicious corporate betrayals, and the devastating family warfare have literally poisoned her body from the inside out. Hope's kidneys have completely ceased functioning, and toxic elements are rapidly flooding her bloodstream. The medical team is forced to immediately initiate emergency hemodialysis just to keep her heart beating, hooking her up to an intimidating array of tubes and whirring machines that serve as her only fragile lifeline in this desperate fight for survival. Brooke Logan Forrester storms through the hospital doors, her initial frantic worry instantly evaporating into a suffocating, soul-crushing wave of absolute guilt. The horrifying realization crashes over her with sickening clarity. Her vicious, venomous screaming match with Hope just hours earlier was the final, fatal catalyst that pushed her daughter over the edge. Brooke falls against the hospital wall, her legs giving out as the weight of her actions threatens to crush her alive. The bitter fashion war, the corporate loyalty, the relentless pressure she placed on Hope's shoulders, it all suddenly means absolutely nothing. Brooke is consumed by a visceral, agonizing remorse, weeping uncontrollably as she stares through the glass window of the ICU. She sees her beautiful daughter, pale and fragile, tethered to life support machines, and knows that her own relentless outrage and refusal to forgive directly contributed to this catastrophic physical breakdown. The bitter, seemingly endless war between Forrester Creations and House of Logan comes to a screeching, unprecedented halt. The hospital waiting room quickly fills with the heavy hitters of Los Angeles, their petty rivalries completely eclipsed by the terrifying specter of death. Ridge Forrester, Steffi Forrester, Finnegan, Katie Logan Spencer, and Bill Spencer arrive, their faces etched with shock and profound sorrow. The tension in the room is palpable, but it is no longer fueled by corporate espionage or stolen designs. It is fueled by a desperate collective prayer for Hope's survival. The fashion empires they built mean absolutely nothing in the face of the humming dialysis machine keeping Hope alive. Enemies stand shoulder to shoulder in the sterile corridors, a silent, unspoken ceasefire washing over the warring families as they unite in their sheer terror of losing the bright, compassionate woman who has always been the heart of their fractured world. Despite the aggressive medical interventions, Hope's condition refuses to stabilize. The hemodialysis is merely a temporary, agonizingly fragile band-aid on a massive, life-threatening wound. Her vitals remain dangerously erratic, and the medical team delivers a chilling ultimatum. Hope needs a kidney transplant, and she needs it immediately, or she will not survive the week. A frantic, desperate race against the clock erupts as every single family member rushes to the lab to be tested for compatibility. Blood is drawn, forms are frantically signed, and the agonizing wait for the laboratory results begins. The tension in the hospital reaches a boiling point, every tick of the clock echoing like a death knell. The doctors make it abundantly clear that finding a perfect match is a complex, highly improbable gamble, and with Hope's body rapidly deteriorating, they do not have the luxury of waiting for a spot on the National Donor Registry. Deacon Sharp bursts into the intensive care unit like a wild hurricane, a desperate, terrified father ready to sacrifice his own life, his own organs, his very soul to save his little girl. He demands to be tested immediately, rolling up his sleeves with a fierce, unwavering determination. But the universe delivers a crushing, devastating blow when the transplant coordinator returns with the preliminary results. Deacon is not a medical match. The incompatibility markers are absolute. The realization hits Deacon with the destructive force of a wrecking ball. He collapses into a nearby chair, burying his face in his hands as a guttural sob rips through his chest. The absolute paralyzing helplessness of a father who cannot save his dying child consumes him entirely. He fought so incredibly hard to earn his place in Hope's life, to prove he could be a good father, and now, in her darkest, most critical hour of need, his biology has completely failed her. Unable to bear the suffocating atmosphere of the waiting room, Deacon seeks solace in the quiet, sterile hospital corridors, where he is met by the comforting presence of Taylor Hayes. Taylor wraps her arms around the broken man, offering a silent, steadfast pillar of support as Deacon completely unravels. He pours out his agonizing guilt, his profound terror, and his desperate wish that he could trade places with Hope on that hospital bed. Taylor, drawing on her deep psychological expertise and her genuine, profound love for Deacon, desperately tries to hold his shattered pieces together. She whispers words of comfort, assuring him that Hope knows how deeply he loves her. But the words offer little solace to a father watching his daughter slip away into the abyss. Deacon's pain is visceral, raw, and entirely unfiltered, a stark reminder of the fragile, fleeting nature of life and the immense, terrifying vulnerability of unconditional parental love. Just as the despair threatens to swallow the entire family whole, the lead surgeon emerges with a stack of medical charts and a glimmer of miraculous, yet terrifying hope. The laboratory results have identified a single, flawless match among the frantic crowd. Brooke Logan possesses the exact perfect compatibility markers required for the transplant. The revelation sends a shockwave of profound poetic justice through the room. The only person on earth who can save Hope's life is the very mother whose relentless pressure and explosive anger helped push her to the brink of this catastrophic physical collapse. Brooke receives the news not with fear, but with a fierce, blinding surge of adrenaline. It is her ultimate chance at redemption, a desperate heaven-sent opportunity to undo the devastating damage she caused. She immediately demands that the surgical team prep the operating rooms, refusing to waste a single precious second. However, the prospect of this major life-altering surgery ignites a fierce, protective panic within Ridge Forrester. He loves Hope as his own, but Brooke is the absolute love of his life, the center of his entire universe. Ridge corners the surgeon, aggressively questioning the severe, life-threatening risks associated with a major organ extraction for a woman of Brooke's age. The medical realities are stark and unforgiving. The anesthesia, the potential for catastrophic hemorrhaging, the grueling, painful recovery process. Ridge pleads with Brooke, his eyes wide with unadulterated terror, begging her to consider the immense dangers. He is paralyzed by the horrifying thought that he might lose his wife on the operating table in her desperate bid to save her daughter. Ridge's desperate emotional pleas echo through the hallway, showcasing the agonizing, impossible dilemma of a husband torn between the survival of his stepdaughter and the safety of his soulmate. Brooke's resolve, however, is absolute, ironclad, and entirely unshakable. She looks Ridge dead in the eye, her expression radiating a fierce, maternal ferocity that cannot be reasoned with or deterred. She gently but firmly cups his face, her voice steady and echoing with undeniable conviction as she declares that she will gladly, without a single moment of hesitation, lay down her own life to ensure Hope survives. Brooke fiercely articulates that this is not just a medical procedure. It is her ultimate penance, her desperate, unwavering attempt to repair the shattered bond with her daughter. She refuses to let Ridge's fears sway her, making it abundantly clear that she would rather die on that opera table than live another day in a world without hope. Her fierce monologue silences the room, a breathtaking, awe-inspiring display of a mother's boundless, sacrificial love that leaves Ridge in tears, forced to accept her terrifying, courageous decision. As the nurses arrive to prep Brooke for the grueling surgical procedure, a profound, deeply emotional moment unfolds outside the operating theater between Brooke and Deacon. The two biological parents, bound together by a shared history of passion, mistakes, and an overwhelming, all-consuming love for their daughter, stand face to face. Deacon, his eyes red and swollen from crying, reaches out and grips Brooke's hands with a desperate, trembling intensity. He expresses a profound, bottomless gratitude for her sacrifice, his voice breaking as he acknowledges that she is giving their daughter the ultimate gift of life that he was biologically unable to provide. In this terrifying, high-stakes moment, all past grievances, all romantic rivalries, and all bitter resentments are completely washed away. They are simply a mother and a father, united in their sheer terror and their desperate, unified prayer for a miracle, their bond strengthened in the crucible of this medical nightmare. Suddenly, the fragile, tense peace of the hospital is shattered by the shrill, terrifying blare of alarms erupting from Hope's intensive care unit. The hemodialysis machine flashes urgent, crimson warnings as Hope's blood pressure plummets and her heart rate becomes dangerously erratic. The catastrophic kidney failure is triggering a massive, systemic cascade of organ distress. Doctors and nurses sprint down the hallway shouting frantic medical codes as they crash the crash cart into the room. The timeline has violently accelerated. They no longer have hours to prep, they have mere minutes. Brooke is immediately thrown onto a gurney, her eyes locking with Liam and Ridge in a final desperate gaze, before she is aggressively wheeled through the swinging doors of the adjacent operating room. The blinding surgical lights snap on, illuminating a terrifying, high-stakes battleground where two lives are about to hang in the absolute, razor-thin balance between life and death. Will Brooke and Hope survive this catastrophic surgery, or is a fatal tragedy about to strike? Drop your wildest theories below and subscribe now.